Hey everyone, and welcome to this Season 2 Timeline Park contest video. In this video I will show you all the parks that were made for Stage 1 of this contest, and I will read out the stories, and because a lot of people asked for it, I will also go through the park and give a bit of my own opinion on all these entries. Anyway, we got quite a lot of Stage 1 entries, so I'll just quickly go through them in alphabetical order. Alright, the first story is from 733737. This is the story of a park that cried a river and drowned the whole Discord. It was the night before the deadline and all the server, not the player, was stirring, not even Dirklink. Is that a fact, Jack? Cried the evil Anunnaki invader. Who the hell is Jack? Replied Ferris Wheel 1. Then the Peep Snatchers destroyed Ferris Wheel 1. At the funeral for Ferris Wheel 1, some peep said, since when do rides talk? The Peep Snatchers snatched that peep away. Now it is the year 1997, Half-Life 1 is confirmed. Everybody boards the helicopter to E3 1997. Meanwhile, ancient evil Anunnakis are snatching peeps into saucers by the twosome, and a secret circus called Scissorcus is making peeps run in circles with scissors after using the shrink ray to shrink them down. If they survive running in the circle circus, they leave the Scissorcus without being turned to Shreddercus circus shreds. Then they may eat some canned food and get nauseous if they aren't snatched or already sick from ancient peeps they ride. That proves the evil Anunnaki are time-traveling peeps that live in a subterranean layer. There will be a bridge constructed to make a park that represents Anunnaki peep genetic modification, so the park will look like that folding at home stuff eventually, or neural connectors in brains. Alright, this first park for sure is different than all of the other entries. The story itself, I think it doesn't really make much sense, but the park itself, I think it actually looks pretty cool. Not really sure what's going on all around here, but for sure these rides, at least they look quite interesting. It's fun to follow these bumper boats around in their weird movement. It's also fun to see how vertical this entry is. Oops. So it will be interesting to see this entry develop. Okay, here's the story from AJ. Saint Vega of Lyra. 750,000 astronomical units west from Vega, February 6th, 2422. The previous owner, Billy Budd, found guilty of fraud, a pit stop in the sky, now under new management. Cheapest gas in the west. Take a break before your deep space travels. Last stop for light years. Now that the air has cleared after Budd's crimes, a remodel and expansion on the gas station's property has begun. Will the mismanagement, fraudulence and negligence leave any unwanted surprises for the new owners, or will a tradition of upsets continue? Right, I love this entry. The shapes of these floating islands in space look so cool. I really like this color changing coaster as well. I love how the queue sits here on this little outcropping of land. Even the alien trees over here look quite nice. Kind of looks like fireworks with the stuff they're spewing out. These propellers under the island also give it some nice movement. So this is just a very fun entry to watch from AJ. Alright, the next story is from Bags. Now this year all the stories have a 2000 character limit, so they're a little bit less long than were used from Bags. But still, the stories in his parks are very good. So let's get on with this. 1952, the rise of Poverty Row Studios. Poverty Row is a filmmaking company that has produced 35mm silent films since the 1920s. In the next 2 decades, huge capital investments were made in the latest sound and film processes to synchronize motion pictures with spoken dialogues, sound effects and background music. This made Poverty Row Studios renowned for their entrepreneurial film techniques. However, with that heavy focus on expensive film techniques, the remaining budget for filmmaking is horrifically low. With badly written stories, a cast with inexperienced newcomers, and cheap special effects, the films from Poverty Row Studios typically belong to the B-movie category. Traditionally, B-movies are displayed in cinemas to warm up the audience for the high-quality A-movies from big filmmaking companies. By displaying B-movies, unknown actors have a platform to display their talents, and many actors have been scouted and made their way into the big film blockbusters. Ironically, Poverty Row Studios became notorious for their B-movies and have gained their own cult status that has stolen the hearts of many fans around the world. Recently, the board has decided to create their own drive-in cinema on the car park of their studio lot to display their infamous B-movies to the public. The fans adore the unique storylines with their weird and sudden plot turns, as well as the accompanied cringy acting skills, unbelievable special effects, and unconventional theme mashups. Poverty Row Studios produces movies so bad that they are good. Right, as you can see, Bags put in a lot of work into his entry. I just love all the buildings he created for these studios. Also the drive-in cinema, also very cool. I like that these cars all actually have guests in them, which makes it, of course, a little bit more realistic. Also this farmland done really nicely. There's just so many cool details everywhere. So yeah, Bags must have put in a ton of work here, and it all just looks incredible. Okay, the next story is from Kazulius. Rise and shine. Welcome back to Sunny Side Up on DKMP 98.7, where we bring you local news and try to make it positive, so you start your day off right. I'm your host, Mike Rivone. Along with families waking up to gift puppies on their front step, a great opportunity for your kids to learn some responsibility, our latest breaking news is that the city of Cordis is making the decision to close down access to Beaver Island. For those unaware, this island was artificially created in 1947 after the war to regrow lost crops and as an arboretum to purify the air again. Eventually it was redesigned as a national park for you to forget about the concerns of everyday life and get lost in nature. Unfortunately, as technology has advanced to allow individuals to enjoy nature through VR, foot traffic has decreased and has made the cost of upkeep unattractive to our city officials. Ferries are now running on a 3-hour schedule, so you wouldn't want to forget to pack a lunch. On the bright side, due to public protest of the closure, the city is holding an auction for any individual to purchase the land, as long as it remains available to the citizens. Enter our two main contenders. Bill Durr, an enterprising young man who hopes to turn our island into a gated community resort. The city would certainly love the property tax coming from that. Weekend trip across the lake, anyone? Or Freddie Zulius, a man certainly known to our community, given that his relative, Jonathan, was a founding father of our city. Our Freddie went in a different direction, an amusement park. Not only would this increase traffic to the island, the city would get a cut of the profits to cushion their budget. Has anyone told the city about all the potholes on Main Street? What would the folks of Cordis like? An occasional weekend, all-inclusive getaway, or years of family fun? Vote on our website. That's all for now. Tune in next week for the results. Have a great day and keep that glass half full. Right, some incredible landscaping here from Kazulius. I love the island where the park is, where I believe the park is going to be built. This cityscape here also looks really nice. I love all the movement here. There's all these cars going around on these roads, on these junctions. You can see guests walking around here on this pier. Yeah, it just looks incredible throughout the entry. So I'm really excited to watch this entry develop. And then the next story is from Delta Aklut. The Wolf River Campground was built in 1967 in the scenic forest around part of the Wolf River. With a hiking trail, picnic grove and space for RVs as well as tents, the campground was off to a good start. However, after a regional airport was built only a few miles away in 1976, The plane noise made it much less appealing as a camping destination. This led to the campground being forced to shut down a few years later. As the buildings began to fall into disrepair, a group of investors saw a new future for the site, an amusement park. The land was bought, the buildings were fixed up, and a few traveling rides were installed. It's now 1983, the newly christened Wolf Rivers Park opening season. Enjoy your visit to the park. Alright, this entry from Delta Occlude, also really nice. Not really sure how good of an idea it is to immediately from the start off with 2 coasters. Might be a better idea to start off a little bit smaller. So you have more room for making the park grow. But yeah, I guess Delta Occlude is just going to try and expand this piece of land into a huge theme park. And I expect a lot of coasters by the end of stage 11. Alright, the next entry is mine. You could actually see me build this in several videos, which I've put on my YouTube channel. Anyway, for the first time, here's the story of my first stage of the Timeline Park. After humans discovered an inhabitable planet in orbit around a star several light years away from Earth, a spaceship dubbed the Mothership was built, which would be able to take several thousand volunteers toward the newly discovered planet. After a long journey, the Mothership carrying thousands of Earthlings arrived at the planet, which was called Noctilum. From the Mothership, several expeditions were sent out in order to establish colonies around the planet. This timeline park tells the story of Colony 8, founded by Commander Dirklink. Somewhere in the large blue forests that cover Noctilum, a plot of land was cleared out to make space for the new colony. Commander Dirklink used his ship, the Wild Goose, to transport lots of materials to the newly founded colony, and several simple houses were built for the new settlers. Several other facilities were built in the colony: a greenhouse to grow earthly crops to feed the dwellers, an observation tower to get a good overview of the surroundings, an enterprise to train the settlers at resisting high G forces. Well, the observation tower and enterprise were actually built to help the new Colony 8 settlers. Some people from the Mothership and other colonies actually sometimes came over to use these facilities for entertainment purposes, to take a break from the hard work of setting up a completely new life on Noctilum. Commander Dirklink saw an opportunity here to make Colony 8 the best place to live for the new Noctilum inhabitants. Meanwhile, some rustling could be heard in the woods around the newly founded colony. Alright, here's my park. Well, of course you've already seen me build it in several of my videos. If you haven't, I think it will be fun for you to check out. I had a lot of fun actually building this, and I put in a lot more effort than I did in last year's Timeline Park. So I hope you like what I built here as much as I like it. Alright, the next story is from Etje. The Book of Peter Pirate. Day 1. After all this time, me and my brothers, Peterson and Pietert, found an island to hide our treasure. But even better than that, I can finally be free of my brother's conversations all the damn time. They just can't shut up and talk like they are smart or something, and I really like some quiet time once in a while, which is impossible on my ship. So I ordered them to stay at the boat while I look for a place to bury the treasure chest. Day 7. After a long trip, I found a nice place to hide the treasure. This island has a small lake with an island in the middle, so I dug a hole in this island and put the chest in there. After I closed the hole, I made this big X on top of the island, because who would expect there to be a treasure under an X on an island? Nobody, of course. I am so smart. We set sail tomorrow morn. Day 8. What a horrible night. I just can't leave my beloved treasure here. It just does not feel right. So I had this big brain idea. Let's transform this boat to a pub for pirates. I can see everything that's going on the island and make a quick buck along the way. Day 34. Finally, the pub is ready. My back hurts like hell and I have no clue if this is even gonna work, but my ideas have never let me down, so it will be okay. I ordered my brothers to make something that would attract customers. And they actually did something good for once. Now let's rest and wait. Day 43. The first pirates are already coming in. This location seems perfect for doing business. The thing that's even better is that drunk pirates talk a lot, which makes it so much easier to know if someone is looking for my treasure. But yesterday some guys were shooting at each other because of business or something, and they were drunk, and I really don't like these bastards shooting in my pub. So I made a shooting range at the back of the pub, so these pirates can show their testosterone to each other there. Alright, a really big entry from Etje. Oh, it's quite funny that there's some buried treasure here with an X on top. Might actually be worth burying some treasure chests underground here, if that isn't done already. So that when people look with cutaway view, they can actually see some treasures down there. Yeah, quite a lot of landscaping done here. I do recommend playing a bit more with ground textures. For example, if you put some dirt here under some of these trees. Maybe also some sand in some spots. Probably some rocks on some of these sloped sections. And it will make the landscape look much nicer. But yeah, overall I quite like this entry. And it will be interesting to see it develop throughout the rest of the Timeline Park contest. Okay, the next story is from Fidwell. Commander Edwin Collins log. Mission date 560.34 ALS. Our cargo ship, the ISS Millennium, has crash-landed on an unexplored planet, deep on the edge of the galaxy. All communications with mission control have been lost, leaving my crew and me isolated from the universe. Using the freight and tools we brought with us, we have been able to construct rudimentary life support systems and a communications beacon. It should be enough to keep us alive for a few weeks. If we are unable to reach our colleagues back home, perhaps some other spacefaring race might come to our aid. A pipe dream, perhaps, but these are desperate times. We have also set to exploring the alien environment in our research buggy. The planet is able to support vegetation, but as of yet we have not found a source of water. Further research must be conducted. Alright, I think it's fun that Fidwell also went for an outer space entry. So there's already a few of those, and yeah, I think that's quite funny. It will be interesting to see the different take Fidwell will have on this theme. I guess it's more of a survival theme rather than what I did in mind. But yeah, I really like what Fidwell put together here. This spaceship looks really nice, and I can't wait for his stage 2 entry. And the next story is from Greenfielder. It was the hub for all the air traffic in the region before the once modern airport, with its extra long runway for the large long-distance aircrafts, had to make way for its successor with 2 runways and the latest technology in aviation safety. While administrative buildings, the military area of the airport, and other infrastructure around the airport are still in operation, the old entrance area and terminal building stood empty for many months. Recently, former showman Michael Redwood purchased the site and together with his son Adrian began to convert it into an amusement park. While in the long run, many shows and roller coasters should make the park an icon in the region, 2 new airport owners started the operation of the park with the transportable flat rides with which they once toured through Europe to put a smile on people's faces at fun fairs and city festivals. Welcome to the abandoned airport adventure. Alright, Greenfielder was just in time with submitting his entry. Yeah, I think this is a great theme. He did a really nice job on creating this airport. I love the structure of these buildings. Also that you can see these old taxi or drive lanes, and that the park is simply built over them. So it's a wonderful park already, quite building heavy, and yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how Greenfielder is going to expand his park in the next stages. Alright, the next story is from Herbert. Team Loris was an upstart esports team that had won lots of tournaments. But after years of success, the players decided they wanted to take a break from the exhausting pro gaming scene. So they set their eyes on a jungle island, somewhere remote in the ocean. Rampage, the team leader, had been a big fan of theme parks in his younger days, so he brought up the idea of building a park there. After deciding on a theme, he realized no one else backed him, so he started on his own, buying small attractions and erecting makeshift stalls for the guests. His success would show the others the genius of his idea. It was a normal morning in the jungle. Donkey Kong woke up and hastily slumped down to his banana hoard. There he experienced the biggest shock of his life. All his bananas were gone. When he knocked on Diddy's door, he saw a note, handwritten in a reptilian writing. "We have your bananas and your friend. Ha ha ha!" Seeing this, Donkey felt the anger rising, and without thinking much, he stormed out into the jungle to retrieve his bananas and his best friend. Alright, Herbert made this huge tropical island. Now I love how warm the colors are in this map. Must have been some palette magic. It's also already his first coaster here. It's a junior coaster, quite spread out. Yeah, I think this all looks pretty nice. Not really sure how this story is going to develop. Whether it's going to focus more on the esports team or on the DK Island part of it. Now, I do have to say something about this. There's some underwater foliage here, and it probably hasn't been moved under. It probably has been moved under surface with Tile Inspector. No, wait, I say that incorrectly. So let's quickly take a look with the Tile Inspector. If you go on these tiles, you can see that these verds are above surface, and that's actually what sometimes makes the water surface glitch. So yeah, that's really something to look out for and be careful of. Alright, the next story is from Jazz Anden. 1992, The Candyman. Welcome to the southern part of Sjælland, Denmark. During the late 80s, a man named Michael Spangsberg starts producing his bonbons in the factory in the small town of Holme Ulstrup. His first signature bonbon is called Holdkraft Bolsje, the shut up bonbon. The next candy he produces is a small brown licorice bonbon. When Michael presents the candy for his son Nikolai, the first reaction was, "Dad, that looks like dog shit." Michael can only agree, but he chooses to name the candy Hundeprutter, dog farts. And from then on, he decides to name all of his sweets after bizarre and sexual stuff, and it's a huge success. The demand for the sweets is growing rapidly, and especially the kids want to see how the sweets are made. Due to strict hygiene protocols, Spangsberg can't let too many in at a time, so he buys a plot of land next to the factory, and in 1992 the guests can visit the small and cozy bonbon land. In the entrance building, Spangsberg is demonstrating how the sweets are made, and the building also features a cinema, a small shop and some restrooms. Outside of the building, guests can take a relaxing ride in the Andematsbøde, the duckweed boats, which is also one of the bonbons the guests can enjoy. The first summer season is such a huge success that Spangsberg, during the first months, decides to install a ball basin, a sandbox, and a bouncy mattress. Since the dog farts started it all, Michael also decides that the candy should have its own statue to welcome the guests. Henry the dog fart quickly becomes the mascot of the park, and the guests really seem to love Bonbonland. More than 170,000 guests visited the park, and Michael knew he had to develop this project. With the slogan "It's shitty funny in Bonbonland," Spangsberg is looking into a future as a theme park owner. Fun fact: late in the summer a kid named Jasanden is born. 12 days after his birth, he visits Bonbonland for the very first time, but surely not the last. Alright, I really love that Jasanden is actually telling the story of Bonbonland. It's an actual park in Denmark. I think it's really, it's a really funny park, and the story is great. And what I also like is that if you use the cutaway view, you can actually look inside this candy factory. It's funny to see all these handymen going around and working on these, in this factory. Oh yeah, really nice entry from Jasanden, and Bonbonland has quite some history behind it, so I'm sure it will be fun to watch the park develop. The next story is from OpenRCT2. Chapter 1, The Beginnings. Once upon a time, an amusement park was formed somewhere on a tropical island in the United States of America on January 16th, 2022. It was named Tropical Bay Amusement Park, owned and operated by the Swiss coaster manufacturer Bolliger & Mambillard, or B&M for short. They were planning to build an amusement park to start off with Carousel of Rock, Gents Carousel, Skywheel, a Vekoma New Generation Ferris wheel, and a world record-breaking attraction from B&M for developing and creating the most extreme bumper car experience anywhere else in the world, known as the world's most extreme dodgems. The brand new theme park was a smash hit to the US residents and the general public from across the globe. Due to positive reviews for the park itself, B&M wanted to get started planning to expand Tropical Bay Amusement Park with a whopping $250 million investment. This theme park expansion will include a brand new hotel where people can stay for 3 day or 2 night at the Cabana Inn as the resort hotel's new name. Find out what's next for the next chapter. Alright, the park from OpenRCT. It's quite nice. There's some nice rides. I really like this carousel here. Also like these gardens here in the middle. We can see something being built here. The guests are walking right through this wall here as they're entering the Ferris wheel. Also love this little cafe here in the corner. The Ferris wheel also looks amazing. Might be a little bit big for a stage 1 park, but still it does look really nice. Now, one thing that probably could use some improvement is this parking lot. I'm not really sure how good of an idea it is to actually use the rock texture as the floor for it. Probably looks better with some roads instead. And also it might be nice to actually have some guests park on the parking lot rather than just have them drive circles around them at a pretty high speed. Alright, the next story is from Nova. The story of John McPhee is beginning. John, a former owner of the little gas station near Queens Road, was 2 years ago fired from his job. The big Dynagas bought his station and fired John. Seeking revenge, John realized that he could do anything. The farm across the road was up for sale, and John bought it. After 2 years of work on the farm, John still couldn't get over his former station, so he decided to build a small park. He did this to impress the new owners of the gas station, but the park was already a success for the locals. John was very surprised by this and decided to let the gas station go and build a big theme park. Already starting with a few flat rides, John is planning to build his first small coaster in the next month to attract more locals. Alright, quite some nice landscaping here. I really like the flower fields. That's pretty cool. And also these other buildings around it. It's also a nice parking lot here. Although I would advise actually parking some cars on it. Right now we see some guests walking around, but apparently they all haven't used their car to get here. But yeah, some other nice landscaping as well. I like this train that you can see here and this big bridge as well. So yeah, I hope to see this park develop in a nice way as well. Okay, then the next story is from Old School. Following years of industrial decline, the former shipyards of Glasgow are in a sorry state. Successful industrialist Ian McBride passes away, and his son William McBride inherits his vast fortune. Among William's many interests are the various themed parks rapidly growing across the UK, as well as the many well-established American parks. Hoping to revitalize the deteriorating shipyards area and following the success of the Glasgow Garden Festival the previous year, McBride buys up a plot of land and builds his fun fair. Featuring a number of rides purchased from several traveling carnivals and also playing host to big time circus, McBride is hoping his fair will succeed and grow as much of the surrounding land is going cheap, and expansion is possible if the venture proves profitable. I think Old School has really outdone himself here. This park looks incredible, even though it's really small. It fits here really snugly in this tiny plot of land that has been cleared out. I love all these warehouses right next to it, and this crane as well. I believe it was modeled after a real crane at the place where he lives. Not really sure if it was at the place where he lives, but it was for sure a landmark in that he also showed on our Discord. Also really like this highway here with the ramp off to the park. Yeah, a very nice entry from old school. Okay, the next story is from our Adrian in 1994. The year is 1922 and young Wally Carr has just won a small fortune on the lottery. After quitting his job at the Townsville Trolley Car Company, Wally went on an epic trip around the world to help him to determine how to spend his fortune. He encountered some awe-inspiring amusement parks in both America and mainland Europe and decided that building a little park of his own could be a prudent investment. He quickly set to work propping up a small park atop Scorpion Hill, home to the terminus and depot of the Townsville trolley car network. Although not the most popular destination around, Wally hopes to turn Scorpion Hill into one of the best trolley parks in the country over the next few years. The park's lineup is not the largest at the moment, but there's a certain charm to it. The park currently consists of a steam carousel, some state-of-the-art bumper cars, a boating lake and a lookout point, which offers stunning vistas of the cascading waterfalls in the valley below. Additionally, Wally has set up lots of commercial spaces within the park for local business people to sell their wares in the hope of earning a little extra revenue from the park. Wally already has plans for expansion for his lowly park and is hoping he can convince his friend Woody Woodward, the local sawmill owner, to clear some trees for him, so that he can build a new wooden attraction in the near future. Okay, here's the entry from our Adrian 1994. Very impressive landscaping here. We can see this river cut through the land with several of these big waterfalls. Lots of foliage, lots of mountainous landscape. For sure, this will be really interesting to continue a park in. I also love this this train that he made here. Yeah, just a very nice entry. Alright, the next park is from Ricardo Wodo. Hello investors and shop owners. As you can see, Meredith Mall and theme park is going well underway. Gets interrupted by worker whispering something in his ear. What do you mean they forgot to build the theme park? That was one of the main selling points. Whispering by worker. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Pfft. Well, we're royally screwed. Dear investors, there seems to be some problems coming up. Why don't we meet back here in a month, okay? Investors going away. Okay, we need to fix this mess. Quick, get me roller coaster manufacturers and my workforce on the telephone. Right, here's the entry from Ricardo Wada. Well, he ran out of time, which does show a bit in his entry. Of course, the park is an unfinished park. The story actually was quite funny. But I think it could use a little bit more detail. Maybe some construction machinery, something like that. But still, like I said, the story is really funny. And I think it will be really funny to watch this park grow in the coming episodes. Now, there's a tiny bit of glitching here that probably should be sorted out. As you can see here, these clocks under these trees, they're flickering a little bit. Okay, the next story is from Savvy Adam. Season 2, Episode 1, The Farm. In rural Prince Edward Island lies the next adventure for Mr. Savvy Adam, who successfully started and ran a boardwalk amusement park in Saviton Harbor. He has recently acquired his family farm and about 100 acres of land. He is leaving Saviton Harbor behind and ready to start a new adventure. The old 125-year farmhouse, barn and other outbuildings are all still on the property, with the backfield having been recently plowed, a few plots with potatoes planted and other plots being used to grow hay. Ever since he was a kid, he has always dreamed of having an amusement park on the farm property, and now this might just be his chance. Using his experience from before, he's starting out small. He found 2 rides being sold from an old traveling fair, a classic scrambler and magic carpet, and also made a homemade crush-up derby ride. You can even take walks out through the barn and watch the pony gallop in the paddock, right beside where the rides are. He's really excited to start this new amusement park and wants to keep as much of the farm as possible. Stay tuned to see how this all develops. Now, I really like these farm fields. They're done in a really nice way. It's actually fun to see some workers run through them to tend the crops. Also fun to watch some vehicles pass between them. There's a tractor. The park itself, also pretty nice. I quite like how Savvy Adam did his fence over here. You can also see this lawn mowing robot going around here. It's actually funny that the grass is actually clear in this area rather than overgrown in areas like these. So yeah, field over here with several of these rides. Now I would recommend to use a different kind of fence for these for the queue here. Not really sure if this metal fence looks right here on this on this patch of soil. But yeah, I think it's a nice entry, and yeah, I'm curious to see how Savvy Adam will expand this in the future episodes, and if we will actually also use the farmland in the future. Okay, the next story is from Seahorse Gene. For centuries, the river Reka has run peacefully through the lush landscape of the Greenberg Mountains. In the name of progress and economic benefits, the local government allowed a mining company to take control over the area. They channeled the river, set up a mining operation on the shore, and for cheap electricity, they constructed a dam and small hydroelectric plant in the river. For their own use, they built a lock for ship traffic as well. It might be all beneficial for the company, secured jobs and some prosperity for the town, but from the beginning onwards, the local community was not that pleased with the loss of nature. Resentment had grown over time, and doubt over benefits started to increase. To get some goodwill and understanding from the point of view of the mining company, they set up a small visitor center, including an observation tower, museum and a virtual ride. But it had the complete opposite effect. It looked terrible, the gardening was a joke, and who really wants to look out over an industrial area? It might boost the ego of the mining bosses. They lost the last bit of credit they had. A local committee was set up, and a judge ruled in the favor of this Give Us Reka Back group, and they gained ownership of the land for a symbolic $1. But with the stipulation that they have to bring back the area in a natural state and let the river flow again. Permission has been granted for a theme park to fund the project. The visitor center will be the starting ground for a nature-oriented park and gradually transform the area back to its former glory. Alright, I really like the landscaping done here. This definitely looks like a big industrial area which has ravaged the landscaping here. Now, I actually do like this little park section here. That's quite nice. It's supposed to look a bit cheap and trashy. So I think that that goal has been successful. I do have to warn a bit about if you have pieces of track above water and you try to remove the supports by putting the track pieces under surface, then you get glitches like these where sometimes some of the track pieces are not visible. So I think that definitely needs some sorting out. It's definitely something to be careful of. Alright, the next story is from Scorpion. A small place somewhere in Germany. The German showman Mr. Mayer had long considered building his own amusement park. After years of searching, he found what he was looking for. A small lake and enough space to implement his idea. The first season begins with a raft trip on the lake, with the bumper boats, a vintage car ride and a horse ride. Also with an adventure playground and a show arena. Whether and how the park will develop? Alright, this is a wonderful entry once again from Scorpion. This park just looks great. I love the parking a lot, all the paths here. And also the several rides, like a little horse ride here. And there's these rafts going around. The park's already really big for a stage 1 entry. I'm pretty curious to see how far this park will expand. Because if an area this size is added in every round, then for sure this will become a huge park. Well, yeah, just amazing work from Scorpion as usual. Okay, the next story is from The Shack, and I will try to read it as good as possible. Gazgul's Park, Chapter 1. An orca's life is hard. They hit the humies, they kill the humies, they eat the humies, but the humies run away and hide. Then one day Gazgul got a gooder idea than the other orcs. To make a place where the orcs can trap, kill and eat the humies. The other orcs agreed, and thus began the construction of Gaskell's Park. They built a big entryway and a bridge that the humans actually used to be eaten. This is a gooder idea indeed. Alright, this entry is more or less setting the stage for things to come. So, to be fair, not really sure if Over the Water is a place where orcs would normally build. I would have expected some landscaping or maybe some black tiling around this entry. But still, yeah, I'm really curious how this is going to develop. For sure, orc theme is probably a really fun theme to work in, since you can be pretty messy with how things look. So yeah, very excited for this one. Okay, the next story is from Tim22Z7. Timothy Eriksson, son of Tim Eriksson, has always been fascinated with theme parks. His memories of visiting theme parks with his father and playing Roller Coaster Tycoon made him want to own and operate a theme park from a very young age. He moved to the United States in hopes of making his dream come true. After looking around for land to build his theme park on, he found the right place, Telegraph Mall in the LA suburb of San Juan. The problem was he didn't have enough cash to buy the old mall on his own. He needed investors. Eventually, he found a business partner in Quigley Insurance, who agreed to invest in his park in exchange for a 50% stake in the company and that the park would be named after them. Timothy reluctantly agreed. Timothy bought a used Schwarzkopf Enterprise and an old carousel and got to work. After a few years of hard work, he now had his own small theme park. But this wasn't enough. He was out to make his theme park one of the largest in the world. Alright, I believe Tim ran out of time a little bit, because yeah, the park is still pretty empty. Of course, there are all these big roads going around, but all the parking lots, for example, are empty. Yeah, not sure if Tim is still going to add those, but yeah, for sure that will be a lot of work. But yeah, of course the park would also look nice with some cars driving around on these roads. Yeah, it's quite a nice little park. I assume Tim is going to consume more and more of these parking lots over time. Not really sure how he's going to expand once these parking lots are filled, if he's going to actually break up some of the roads or if he's going to do something else. As for the park itself, for this enterprise, I think I would recommend putting some different fences around it, maybe some of the mesh fences or some higher fences, because this does seem a little bit unsafe. Alright, the next entry is from Uno Reverser Coaster. In April 1967, an aging steam locomotive pulls a train full of lead ore through a remote part of the American Southwest. It travels on tracks of rusted rails and rotted ties, traveling near an old decaying collection of buildings. This is all that remains of Cerro Plata, Arizona, a once thriving silver mining town. Where there was once a boom town of thousands of people, all that remains is a husk of broken buildings. Even the railroad, the only living piece of this relic of the past, is dying as the supply of lead dries up. After the silver mining ended fully in the 1920s, it seemed the town could have lived on, featured as the backdrop of multiple Western films. Those days are gone, though. The country's fascination with outlaws and gunslingers is far distant, when Americans can see technological marvels, like people going into space. The Galena Mining Company has sought buyers for years, but potential buyers either don't have enough or want it for nothing. Perhaps, though, a new visitor to this desert landscape might bring a new area to this forgotten western town. It's just incredible landscaping here from Uno Reverser Coaster. It's just really nice seeing this train go around here through this entry. I love this bridge that he created here. Well, yeah, the landscaping is just incredible, but also the little town here. Yeah, it looks old and deteriorated. I think it will be really fun to watch the park grow in this area. Also like this little trailer that he put here. Definitely gives me some Breaking Bad vibes. Well, yeah, wonderful entry from Uno Reverser Coaster. Okay, and the final story is from Seklar. New Beginnings. After the success of the Hilden Plains, Seklar's plan to make a second amusement park got kickstarted while sailing into the new world. There he stumbled on a small island where he could begin his plans. With his experience and with his contacts with Dirkling Corp, things should run smooth. The bridge was connected to the docking harbor, so the guests could walk the pier to the island. The entrance building was quickly built. So were the souvenir shop and the tavern. The pirates were allowed to dock near the small abandoned village, so the feel for the guests was more authentic. Teklar decided it was better to start small. A couple of flat rides and a junior coaster named Sephiros should be enough as a start, and see if a park would gather attention here. Alright, I think Teklar did quite a nice job on this on his park area. I would have liked it if there was something more to see here, maybe some more landscaping, some trees. But yeah, I do like these little plots of landscape with some hills on the top. Yeah, the trees here, they look a little bit spammy. It's probably much nicer to clump together trees in areas. Yeah, let's just take an example. For example, you could just make like a little area like this. Try to make it look a little bit overgrown. Maybe put some of these in between. Not really sure if these kinds of trees together make much sense, but this is just a quick example. And then just do some texturing below them. Or maybe even some different colors to make it a bit more warm. But yeah, I think you get the idea. And if you then throw together some bigger plots of this, rather than just having it spread out equally, I think that will look much nicer. So yeah, that might be a trick to remember for next time. Alright, those were all the parks that were handed in for stage 1 of the season 2 of the Timeline Park contest. Remember that if you missed the deadline of stage 1, you can always submit your stage 1 park later and still join the contest. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed seeing all these parks and listening to all these stories. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like. I put a lot of effort into this video. And yeah, I'll see you again in the next video. See you later.